Alright, so what time is it? 7:24. Alright, we have about 20 minutes for Q&A. So, let's get to it. What are you guys interested in knowing? Raise your hands. I'll repeat the question after you say it.
Was the water bonding originally created to control male channelers?
Was the water bonding originally created to control male channelers? Raffo. Sorry. Sorry, I got to Raffo that one. Aww. Ask me again in a couple of years, okay? All right here.
Can you give us any more detail about your upcoming epic fantasy
Yes, I can. I actually have started it. It's coming out next year in August or September. It's called The Way of Kings. It is a book I've been working on for 10 years. When I sold my first book, Elantris, it was actually the 6th that I wrote. I was writing my 13th novel, and that 13th novel was The Way of Kings. And I shelved it rather than publishing it next because I wasn't ready for it yet. Working on The Wheel of Time has forced me to stretch and grow as an author in ways that I had never known that I would need to stretch and grow. And coincidentally, it prepared me quite well for a massive, multi-volume, many characters epic fantasy. And so about last year, about this time, no, it was a little earlier than this, last year about Worldcon time, Tom Doherty came to me, publisher, founder of Tor, said, I just realized we don't have a Brandon Sanderson solo book for 2010. Can you get me one of those? I'm like, Tom, I'm working on The Wheel of Time. This book is going to be, 900,000 words long. He's like, oh, we'll probably have to split that. That's kind of the first that we talked. I'd heard about that. But anyway, I'm like, I can't write another book. He's like, well, think about it. See if there's something. And the more I thought about it, the more excited I became about the prospect of rewriting The Way of Kings, which I thought I could do fairly quickly because I already had a complete draft of it done. I would want to rewrite it from scratch because I was a much better writer now, but knowing the characters and plots already would streamline the process. And so I, this summer, rewrote it when I took a break from The Wheel of Time for a few months, and it turned out quite well, and so they're publishing it. What is it? Boy, 30 magic systems, magical renaissance about the return of magic to a world in which it has been gone for a while, and involves magical plate mail power armor to propel knights who can jump off buildings and punch through walls. Gravitation-based magic is one of the main ones, so people in magical plate mail jumping off of walls and running alongside them and punching through them and wielding very large swords that'll cut through anything. So there you go. There's a taste. I'll be doing more on my website about it in the future. I didn't want to say too much about it before this was time for talk about The Gathering Storm. And so we'll next spring be talking a lot about Way of Kings. All right here.
How long did it take you to find your Wheel of Time voice?
It went really fast. Because I have been reading these books for so long. Writing Rand and Matt and Perrin and Egwene in particular was very natural to me. Avienda was hard. I tried her early on in the process, which might have been a mistake because she thinks so differently. But I actually had to throw away 2 chapters of Avienda that no one will ever see because she thinks like a Two Rivers folk, which is not the way Avienda should think. I was disappointed in them, the first one I wrote. And anyway, I kept working on it until I got it right. So she was tough, but it was really quite natural. It's strange how easy it was. But I've been reading these books longer than I've been a writer, so I guess it kind of makes sense. And I mean, I learned to write by studying The Wheel of Time. All right, what else do we got? Right here.
Do the Forsaken consider themselves dark friends?
Do the Forsaken consider themselves dark friends? Ooh, you are tricky. I know what you're doing. I would say that in general, yes, they do consider themselves dark friends. Though there are ways, one would be able to get around that, but I would say yes. That is not the sort of mental gymnastics that is very easy to convince yourself you're not a dark friend. All right.
Of all the characters in this new book, which was your favorite to develop? And which one can we look forward to having the most growth?
My favorite in this book, The Gathering Storm, was Egwene. And you hopefully can look forward to Egwene. Robert Jordan gave me quite a good handoff from her in Knife of Dreams. She was my favorite character in Knife of Dreams, and though Matt was a close second. Matt was pretty awesome in Knife of Dreams. But he also had very good notes regarding Egwene and her plotline, and had written quite a bit on it comparatively, and so it really came together wonderfully. So I hope that you will enjoy Egwene's sections. Right.
When we see Nynaeve cleanse the darkness that is with some of the male channelers before they cleanse the scene, and the second question is, how much notes did Mr. Jordan actually leave for you?
Okay.
For this last
Yeah. I can talk on both of those. With Nynaeve, the question was, will we see Nynaeve heal the darkness that is in some of the male channelers before the cleansing happens? Sorry, spoiler for book 9. If you haven't read book 9 by now and you're here buying book 12, then sorry. I promise nothing happened, and also we're just joking with you, and ignore when I talk about Bella killing Matt, because that kick to the head didn't really kill him. He'll be coming back. The answer is Nynaeve has said before and believes that everything can and should be able to be healed, except for maybe death. She certainly believes that it is possible. I'm not going to say whether or not it will happen. The second question, I can give you a much more extensive answer on. Because people are very curious about what the nature of the notes are. Well, Robert Jordan was a very private writer. He did not like to show things to people until he had done many drafts. In fact, even Harriet, his editor and wife, never saw anything until had seen about 12 drafts. And so they really didn't know much of what was in the notes before he passed away. It was after he passed away they began to gather them. And the creative process is very, how shall I say, it makes sense to the person doing it. I know this firsthand, but to anyone else it looks like chaos. And the way that I get the feel that Robert Jordan wrote is he would open up a file and something, if he was curious about something, or was thinking about something, passionate about something, he'd write on it and then save that file as a separate file. And sometimes it would just be a sentence, sometimes it'd be a paragraph, sometimes he'd write a complete scene. And there were dozens and dozens of these, not in any order, just on the hard drive. Just file after file after file, some with a sentence, some with, and so the assistants gathered these all up together and did not put them in any order. They just took them all, a bunch of fragments of scenes and completed scenes, and put them in a stack. Then on top of that stack, they gave that stack to me, on top of that stack was the dictations he did as before he passed away, in which he would talk about things in the world that he felt needed to be known. These were specific things essentially given to me that he did for me or for us. Things I needed to know, things that, scenes that needed to be, that he wanted written in a specific way, that sort of thing. Those are the dictations. And then on top of that, in the last months, his assistants, bless them, the book is actually dedicated to them. That's who that dedication is for. They are awesome. Maria's been with him has been with the Wheel of Time for 13 years, working. So she and Alan spent a lot of time questioning him and interviewing him and asking him, what happens to this person? What happens to this person? How does this happen? Who is this? Who killed Asmodean? All of these things that we all want to know. And they gathered all of those in just a list of answers for me and put that on the top. Handed that all to me and said, we need a book. And so it runs the gambit. In some places there are complete scenes. In some places there are almost complete scenes. Like the one that I read from the beginning, that whole thing, beginning, middle, and end, was done by him, but it read kind of like a screenplay, meaning there wasn't, as you know, there was a lot of the dialogue and some of the description, but none of the transitions and things like this and whatnot, and that I needed to fill in. And in other places, complete scenes that he wrote before he passed away. In other places, a paragraph that's from the middle of a scene that it suggests an entire scene.